NFL Weekly Pick'em Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The Grueling Truth, of course, is always powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding an online casino or a sports book that's right for you. So make sure you check them out at betting.net. We will be using the point spread from FanDuel, which if you want to use that also, you can go in the description on the YouTube video and click on the FanDuel button. I am your host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other two hosts. First up, Dan Kornhauser, who finished last in the Pick'em Show.
What's up, guys? Always happy to bring up the rear here.
Yes, that's what we hear about you. Now, also,
sounds more like take it in the rear.
Yeah, Dan had a train run on him in the show this year. And we have the man that's tied for first with me, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, I had to turn the AC on today here in L.A., boys. It is getting warm. 88 degrees topped out today.
88 degrees. It was 50
Poor
here,
soul.
We've got Remus Castillo says, hello, sir. How you doing? Thanks for listening. All right, we've got the
I want to know one thing. Where's Romulus?
I don't know. He's at Dan's house.
Remus and Romulus.
All right, guys, we have the Bengals and the Rams. I don't believe any of the three of us predicted this at the start of the season, Dan.
No, nothing, anything close to it. But this is why they play the games, right? That's what they say.
That is what they say. So, Bengals-Rams, do you like this matchup, Steve?
Yeah, very much so. I think it's going to be a very entertaining matchup. I mean, these teams match up well. They both have interesting stories tied to them. LA getting to play again at home in their own field in LA, which of all the home cities, LA probably is the most apathetic city in the United States.
Their pep rally at a high school field in front of 2,000 people was pretty.
And I know you had 30,000 at Bengals Stadium.
That's just because they would only let us have 30,000.
Okay, and unfortunately, there are a multitude of other things to do in Los Angeles to detract your time from going to a damn high school pep rally. But that being said, it definitely is a thing. But I think, obviously, Joe Burrow is a very interesting story, and so is Matt Stafford. I mean, the two quarterbacks are interesting stories. Both are pass-oriented offenses, but both have tremendously above average and strong support running systems to complement. You got some aging veterans on the Rams that are searching for probably their last great opportunity maybe to get a Super Bowl ring against a young upstart team who's going to be the future of this league. Probably if they keep going and their quarterback doesn't get hurt.
Shut your damn dog up, Steve.
I know. They're fighting over one damn bone.
So. Well, buy them two bones.
I do. And they hide one and fight over the other.
All right, our guy Sefton is here. Real quick, Sefton, I forgot to message you back. We were going to see if a couple of your guys wanted to come on with us Friday at 1 on Survive in Advance to preview the Super Bowl. So hit me up on Facebook. Just message me through my personal one. But Sefton says, Rasta is here. Hooday. The Cincinnati Bengals will win the Super Bowl by 9 points. Remus says, hello, sir. Time here is 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's pretty early. I usually don't wake up till 10.
Sefton must be smoking some of that hooch out there with the fentanyl in it or something.
Hooch with the fentanyl in it?
The marijuana with the fentanyl in it.
All right, Sefton says, Mike, Steve, and Dan with the barking dog. Buy more bones, Steve. There you go. I agree with Sefton. Always glad to have the Jamaican contingent on the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show.
There are 20 bones in the house. They just want this one, and it's their,
All right, I was thinking about this.
But I was rudely interrupted giving my analysis of the game, so I'll end it and turn it back over to you, Mike.
Well, no, because we haven't given analysis. I just wanted your first thought on the matchup. It's not like we're going to do the show in 5 minutes.
I think it's a very compelling game. It's going to be a very interesting story. It should be a very fun Super Bowl if both teams play to their capabilities.
All right, I will say this. I think the most interesting thing to me here, Dan, is you have two teams that got here and their teams were built completely different. The LA Rams were all in on trying to buy a team, and the Bengals were all in on drafting a team. Why are you shaking your head, Steve?
No, just go ahead.
Okay. But I think this is interesting because I don't remember an NFL team doing this and it actually worked with what the Rams are doing.
What the Rams are doing is what Dan Snyder and the former Redskins tried to do in the early to mid 2000s.
Well, the Dolphins tried it 5 or 6 years ago.
And what the Dolphins tried and what Philadelphia tried with their dream team with Vince Young and Nnamdi Asomugha and all these other big free agents. This is what all these other teams tried to do. They just didn't do it quite right. And, I mean, kudos to LA. They had the sand to trade all these draft picks and make all these moves when prevailing popular theory is draft picks mean the world. Draft picks are so valuable. You want the more draft picks you could possibly get, the more swings at the plate, the better. Well, the Rams bucked that. They have kicked that to the curb 5 or 6 years ago, I think, at this point. And, I mean, they worked. They pulled the right strings, and it worked. And it's not.
You say that they bucked that, and it's unusual. Rams have been in the Super Bowl, 2 of the last 4 years? Right?
But that's the point.
Okay, so they did that through trading for players using draft picks.
Nah, but they've done it.
What did the Detroit Lions do?
They've done it
drafting idiots.
More. I mean,
who's the idiotic team that took Jared Goff in this whole deal?
I mean, that's why
we took your quarterback and showed he was a Super Bowl quarterback if you could have built the rest of your team around him. But you couldn't even begin to do that.
I never.
And the Bengals did it the hard way. The Bengals have come up through the draft and brought players in, but the Bengals wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Joe Burrow. They got a great break there. If it wasn't for Joe Burrow, the Bengals would be sitting with the Colts watching it somewhere in Greensburg, Indiana.
I would say this, though. I would say the difference is the Bengals also went out in free agency last year, got Trey Hendrickson, who's had 14 and a half sacks, Mike Hilton, who has played great with them, Eli Apple.
So they bought their team, too.
Larry Ogunjobi. They got free agents, which is one thing. When you
they
give up
them.
your
you got to pay for free agents.
Okay, Steve. So nobody ever signs free agents. There's a difference here.
They sign them, but you got to pay for them, and they usually get more money than where they were, which means you're buying players.
Okay, you're buying players when you draft them and pay them too, Steve.
Yeah.
And the problem with the way the Rams are doing this, though, Dan, is what is going to be of this franchise 3 or 4 years from now with no draft picks?
Damn dog about ready to die.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those where we don't know what this team's going to look like in a few years. I mean, just looking at their team this year in terms of free agents, it's not just Von Miller. It's Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr., Sony Michel, cornerback Darius Williams, and I mean, hell, even Joseph Noteboom, their tackle, who stepped in for Whitworth at left tackle and played well. You know, they've got a bunch of free agents that are going to have
centers in his final year too, I believe.
Yep. Brian Allen, center as well. Like, they've got a lot of key free agents, and they're not going to have that much cap space. And, yeah, this is going to be their reality. But the Rams are one of those rare teams that have had good drafts in the middle rounds in the last few years. They make the most with what they have, which is all you really can ask for.
All right, and when you look at this matchup, what do you think?
What did the Bengals have to do? They had to go rob the cradle out of the Rams to get their damn head coach. What's that tell you? Their damn head coach is the offensive quarterback coach for the Raiders 2 years ago or 2 years ago.
It was the Rams, Steve.
Yeah, Rams. Okay, well, you knew what I meant.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know how to rob a team of assistant coach that you're going to pay $2 or $3 million a year instead of the $150,000 he was making.
Well, that's robbery.
Okay, Steve.
Because if I listened to you all season long, Zac Taylor wasn't worth the paper his contract was signed on.
I don't believe I said
for the last 2 years. You badmouth that poor guy since the day he came. You call him a bumbling idiot, a moron, a retard, a reject. You could coach that team better than he could. On numerous occasions you said that.
Well, yeah,
and now all of a sudden, he's the second best coach in the NFL.
Number one, I've never said he was the second best coach in the NFL.
No, I'm saying that.
And
right to Sean McVay.
Number two, Sean McVay is not the best coach in the NFL. I mean, Sean McVay is the reason they lost that Super Bowl a couple of years ago because he got thoroughly
No,
out.
Jared Goff's the reason they lost that Super Bowl.
It's really not, Steve. But
yeah,
you can believe what you want. And
yeah.
I'm also pretty sure that it was about 6 to 8 weeks ago that I actually apologized. Did I not, Dan?
Yeah, he ate crow on that one.
But you know, when you've got the lead in a pick'em show from week 1 all the way up to the AFC Championship, NFC Championship, you've got a 2-game lead and you're sitting there gloating about how you've got it wrapped up, which I believe he did do, Dan, then I can see why the anger's coming out right now.
I never said I had it wrapped up.
Oh,
never once.
Okay. All right. I'm going to
post a clip. I could have easily
post a clip.
Post a clip. I could have easily have followed your lead. Well, I couldn't because you made sure, as other people pointed out, you made sure to pick after I picked every game for the last 3 weeks.
You know what? It has not happened in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It happened last week, Steve. Because there was.
And I had a 2-game lead.
There's 2 games. There's 3 people.
It doesn't matter, Mike. It doesn't matter.
You picked the teams you thought would win. I picked the teams I thought that would win, and you lost.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So I don't see.
But I wasn't sitting there bashing my head coach of the Colts for the last season, 2 seasons.
Yeah, you were.
No, it wasn't.
How many times, Dan, have we heard about Frank Reich and Carson Wentz? We've heard about Frank Reich too.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan. He wasn't a fan primarily.
No, not being a fan. He wasn't bashing him and calling him names and things like that.
You didn't hear me calling Zac Taylor.
And by the way, Joe Rogan's apologized for everything he's done and didn't gotten him anywhere either.
Well, you know what? Because Joe Rogan is a spineless coward. Because you're going to say something, stick with it. We got Chris, Bengals lover, who says, "Who day, Chris, tomorrow night, Reggie Williams on the Bengals show." I know he's excited about that. We're actually going to let Chris come on and ask Reggie a question for a couple minutes. But let's get back to this game. Steve, what do you think the key to the game is? What matchups do you look at to think will decide this game?
Well, I'm not as astute at personnel as you guys are.
Yeah, don't forget that either when you're giving me shit.
I don't forget that. I don't. I don't forget that. But I also have a bigger life to live than just studying personal and football lives of NFL players.
Yeah, you're watching freaking soap operas and movies at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I think that, I watched Battle of the Bulls last night and The Longest Day, 2 of the greatest war movies.
I'm pretty sure that's what I just said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What do I think the key to this game is? There's no mistakes. Fewest mistakes is going to win this game.
That's
Whoever
easy.
comes out.
What matchup do you think is going to decide whether you get mistakes or not?
Oh, I think it's going to be Stafford against Burrow. I think they're both playing hot football right now, and both have played pretty much interception free for the most part. It doesn't mean they haven't thrown a pick here or there, but they're the keys to drive both of these offenses. And I think the running backs are solid. They're used at the appropriate amount for each team, but not overused, but not underused. They're a great complement. And they both have the ability to carry the football down the field and move the chains on the ground. So, but I think here what's going to come out is who is going to be able to handle the pressure of the game better. Is it going to be the second-year quarterback with all the promise in the world, the heir apparent to the next big thing in NFL? Or is it going to be a 12-year veteran, Matt Stafford, who's 34 years old and never really has been in this position either? So to me, that's the most intriguing matchup. There are others that you two guys will point out because, offense against defense. We've got to see what the Rams or what the Bengals can do with the Rams defensive front. Those guys are pretty strong on the pass rush, but in my eyes, this is a quarterback matchup if there's ever been one.
All right, Dan.
For me, I want to see how this. This is one of the more obvious ones, but I think this is going to be the whole key to everything Cincinnati wants to do. And it's got to be how this offensive line holds up against this, not only this pass rush of the LA Rams, but you're playing against the best defensive player in the league. And how are Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins, Hakeem Adeniji, even if they want the Jackson Carman out there, how are these guys on the interior going to hold up against Donald? Because he is an absolute wrecking ball. And I think that will be the key, because if you know, Mike, you know how it is with when it comes to quarterbacks and stuff like that. When it's one thing for your quarterback to get rushed from the outside, because your man can step up, move around in the pocket, and he's protected ideally. But if you got a guy like Donald coming in your face every 2 seconds after you get the ball, where's he going to run to? What, he's going to run into Von Miller on one side? He's going to run around. It could be ugly. And yes, we've seen Joe Burrow get smacked around, get sacked 9 times in a game, and win. But this isn't the Tennessee Titans, and this is
I know the Tennessee Titans defensive line, I think, is just as good as the Rams, especially up inside with Simons. He's not Larry Donald, but I think the 4 of those guys together are just as good. But I think the issue with the Bengals sacks was not prevalent against the Kansas City Chiefs. They got sacked 1 time, and when the pressure came, Burrow had reason to move. The difference that I saw in that game is the first game all year that I've seen consistently the Bengals not put 5 basically receivers into routes. They actually only were putting 3 into routes probably about 70% of the time. When you watch that game, they were taking their running backs, they were keeping their tight end in, and they were basically going max protect for a lot of that game. And then every once in a while, they'd put 5 into the route, and that's when they would hit Jamar Chase down the field. So I think a lot of the issue on having enough time to throw is a little overblown, because as long as you've got bodies on bodies here, Burrow's going to make a play. I thought the issue with Tennessee was the Bengals' refusal basically to go max protect at any time against the Titans. They did that a lot more against the Chiefs. I think that's what we're going to see against the Rams also. And I think, to me, the biggest matchup is how are they going to defend Jamar Chase? Because if they try to cover him man, even with Jalen Ramsey, the Bengals will win this game easily.
I mean, I don't know about easily, because then they'll have to stop the Rams offense. It's not like the Rams offense is anything to just shake your nose at, like, oh, we can handle them. But no, that is something to watch out for, because Ramsey can also be beat. So if they try to be cute and put like Ramsey on whoever is the other receiver on the outside, probably Higgins, and then they want to rotate Williams and whoever else on Jamar and double team Jamar and hope for the best, I think that's a losing recipe, because then they'll get blown up over the middle of the field. It's not like the linebackers are so great for LA. That's always been an area of concern for LA up the middle of the field is their linebackers. They got old ass Eric Weddle back there. We'll see. I think that's definitely something worth considering, and I don't think that matchup, what Chase can do, the Chase effect, I don't think that's been given enough love over the last couple of weeks of.
Hey, real quick, Chris Bengals ever wants to know which one is Dan. He would be the guy with the hat on backwards like a 12-year-old. And Joseph Michael sends in his pick again. The Bengals 128, the Rams 3. I just don't see how the Rams score 3 points here. But when we look at the matchup of the Rams offense against the Bengals defense, Steve, what are you looking for?
No turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions, no stupid passes, no rushing, staying in the pocket, being smart with the football, and just not making mistakes. I personally think that the Bengals defense will buckle. I think the pressure is going to be a little too strong. That I think the Rams will throw 4 or 5 guys in the route at them, and then when you've got an Odell Beckham, and then you've got a Cooper Kupp. I mean, Cooper Kupp's one of those guys you just can't guard him and guard 4 other receivers.
They say the same thing about Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill got guarded last week.
Yeah. And but I don't know that Tyreek Hill. I don't know that Tyreek Hill had the complete support system that around him with other receivers that Cooper Kupp's got. And Kupp, they're 2 different players, basically. I mean, Cooper Kupp's just a sneaky little shit like Niedermeyer. He just gets in places and he finds seams, finds holes better than anybody, and he'll get you at 7 to 12 yards every play. You go marching down the field, and that's going to, the other key here is I right now, early in the game, I want to keep the Bengals defense on the field as much as I can. I just wear them down. So,
well, to do that,
and it's no disrespect to the Bengals.
No.
It's just They're
was
young,
saying,
they're youthful. I don't know how they're going to handle the pressure. They got a young coach who's only done this twice as a head coach. They've got young talent. They've got certainly the offensive weaponry to do it, but the defense, I think, is the key for them, and no mistakes is the key for Matt
well,
Stafford.
I think the defense will win the game for the Bengals because of the safeties. Von
Okay, well,
Bell, and I think the Bengals have significantly a better
yeah.
secondary. I see all these people that rate the Rams secondary better, which Jalen Ramsey is the best cornerback on the field. But Jesse Bates is one of the top 3 or 4 safeties in the NFL. Von Bell's an experienced leader who's had a huge impact on this team. And if you want to put 4 or 5 guys in the routes, you got Hendrickson and Hubbard.
Okay, well, let
And
me ask you a question about that, Mike, about safeties and cornerbacks. Safeties kind of are that, right? They kind of roam. They go anywhere to cover up a mistake or try and put a double team on, but they're all over the field, right? For the most part.
generally, unless you're going to lock
Generally,
it up on a slot
and
receiver.
that's usually who you want your best athlete playing safety, your best tackler, a guy that's got the speed, the lateral speed.
I want my smartest guys at safety.
But here's what I think a good cornerback. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not as smart as you on this. A good cornerback takes away a certain part of the field away from the quarterback. The good quarterback says, "Don't throw in my area because I'm just covering this area. I'm roaming this little piece of ground, and if you throw in here, it's going to be 50-50 when that ball goes in the air." Now, am I right or am I wrong there?
Yeah, and that's what makes Jamar Chase so dangerous, and T. Higgins, because they are both great at catching.
What about
50-50
Jalen, who you say is the best in the league?
Jalen Ramsey has no chance against Jamar Chase, not one-on-one. I mean, there's very few guys that have ever played cornerback that could lock everybody up. Deion Sanders did it to Jerry Rice, but Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have such a connection that I think it would absolutely be insane to cover him one-on-one.
Yeah, but do you think that the Bengals will turn around and say, you know what, we're going to throw away from Jalen right now. We're just going to stay out of his area for a while, and we don't really want to test him early in the game. I don't know. I mean, does he, because he just controls that one environment defensively in the backfield, do they say, we got other guys to pick on. Let's go over here and let's send these receivers over here and pick on them. But then you start narrowing the field of play down for Burrow to make some decisions and find some check offs or check downs, because you're kind of giving up that one spot where, as with a free safety or something like that, you're kind of just hoping you can get the ball there, deliver the ball quicker than the safety can get to the ball. Well, am I making sense or not?
All I can say is this: you make sense.
Well, that's how I'd run a defense
with normal quarterbacks and wide receivers. Andy Reid thought you could do that too against Jamar Chase the first time they played the Bengals.
Yeah.
And Chase caught 11 balls for 266 yards. And I know they don't have Jalen Ramsey, but I just don't think that Jamar Chase can be covered one-on-one. And
I'm just saying, will you ask what the matchups were or what's important? I think that's what's important. I think the Bengals have every piece of talent and tool to overcome that. But if they can't overcome it, you've narrowed the playing field down on Burrow big time.
All right, real quick, Omar, our Jamaican guys. We already told Sefton this earlier on the show. You must have missed it, but we are looking to have you guys on Survive in Advance at 1 o'clock our time on Friday. So I will send a message out later tonight about that, and we'll get a little Survive in Advance Super Bowl preview at 1 on Friday. All right.
Actually, before we move on, I was going to add to the Jamar Chase, Jalen Ramsey thing. The Rams run a lot of zone. They run a lot of cover 3, a lot of quarters. So I don't know if they're really going to change up their whole defensive scheme in a couple of weeks and shift to Ramsey following guys around.
And I would come back and tell you, I don't know that the Rams have faced Joe Burrow yet. That kid's got an arm and he's accurate with it, and he's got poise. And I'm telling you, if they do the definition of insanity, doing the same old thing over and over again and expecting different results, and I don't think you can play Joe Burrow like you can play Patrick Mahomes. And I really think Joe Burrow's gotten that good.
This is the thing. I hope they do play cover 3 and quarters, because if they do, they're going to have issues, because cover 3, There's no better quarterback in the NFL right now throwing that whole shot at about 15 to 20 yards downfield than Joe Burrow. That's one of the things Kansas City tried to do to him the first time, and that's where you saw the back shoulder throws constantly to Chase, which got him all that yardage. So you're in kind of I don't know, basically a conundrum when you guard them because you
Yeah.
can take one away. It's just like we went through like 4 or 5 weeks of the season where everybody double teamed Jamar Chase and he didn't do a whole lot. The problem was in those 4 or 5 games, T. Higgins had like 600 or 700 yards receiving. So if one don't get you, the other one can. You still got Tyler Boyd there, and really, Dan, I think it's safe to say these offenses pretty much do mirror each other.
They absolutely do. Because, I mean, on one side, you're talking about, of course, Chase and Higgins and, hell, even Boyd in the slot. But on the flip side, you're talking about Cooper Kupp, who broke all sorts of records this year and was by far the best receiver in the NFL this past season. We know what he can do. He's going to get his. No one's going to stop him. And that same goes here. No one's going to stop Cooper Kupp. He's going to get the rock. It's just how much is he going to drop on your head? And Odell Beckham, I mean, he started slow, but he's been doing his thing lately. And for me, when you were asking earlier about what the matchup between the Rams offense and the Bengals defense that I'm looking at, and that's what I'm looking at. I want to see what this Bengals pass defense, this secondary does to limit this explosive Rams offensive passing game, because Cooper Kupp is a shoo-in for 100 yards and probably a touchdown, 7 or 8 receptions minimum. Okay. As a matter of fact, I have a parlay with several legs in it, and he's got like 3 of them. And I think they're guaranteed shoo-ins. I went over on the yards. I went for an anytime touchdown.
So the over on the yards is 104, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
That's a sucker bet.
It is, but you know what? He covers crazy stat lines every week. It's crazy. But I want to see what Odell Beckham can do. I want to see, is Tyler Higbee going to make plays in the red zone for him? Is Van Jefferson going to be useful? But this Bengals secondary is stacked. Mike, like you said, their safeties are beasts.
Hey, I think the guy that's really forgotten here, who took away Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce in the second half, is Trey Flowers. I mean, that's a guy who's 6'3", 215 pounds, and he can run with any tight end. So he can eliminate Higbee. If you put Kupp in, you could double team if Kupp is in the slot.
Yep.
If you know what I mean, you can put Flowers on him, jam him off the line, and still have Bates over top of him. I don't think him getting 100 yards is a given here. And I think that's why Odell Beckham is so important for the Rams. Because Beckham has to have a huge game. Kupp will get his. All right? When I tell Go ahead, Steve.
I'm sorry. No, well, I was wanting you to finish the passing part because I wanted to shift gears just a little bit.
All right. We'll finish
done?
the passing part. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. How important and how strong is it going to be to establish some type of running game early in the offensive schemes of these? Do you want to establish a ground game? I mean, you got Joe Mixon, who's a hell of a running back, probably one of the most underrated running backs in the league because of Burrow's success this year. And the Rams can run the football too. I mean,
they got Cam
do you want to just rely on your arms early and set a blistering pace, or do you want to step back in and try and keep some defenses on the field and wear them down a little bit, and get your running game established so you've got more parlay into you can't really throw all these fancy defenses on them because you got to get up there and play that running game too.
All right, real quick, I will answer that. But Chris said he's got to go in a second, and he wants to know what Steve, Dan, and Mike's halftime Super Bowl meal will be. Dan, what are you eating at halftime?
Ooh, well, we're going to my buddy's house, and he makes an incredible spread. So I'm probably going to go with some combo of different meats, maybe like chili, maybe some pulled pork if he's got it, definitely some wings. I'm going to go in, but it's going to be all meat.
Steve, are you an all meat guy like Dan, or do you like other things other than meat?
No, I like some celery and carrots and maybe some blue cheese dip to go with it, and then maybe some wings, or my wife makes these little party pizzas, which are sausage and Velveeta cheese mixed together and then baked to a crisp on the top. And
that's the hanky panky, right?
Yeah, hanky-panky, little rye bread things. And
Dan doesn't know about that because he's not from the Indiana, Ohio region.
no, yeah, it's like hanky-panky. We call them party pizzas.
Hey, they're really good, and once you eat one, you have to
You
eat
can't
like
stop.
every one of them.
That's the problem. You can't stop. And but we keep it simple. We're not going to have a feast of 50 things. We'll probably just, have the party pizzas and some celery and whatever my wife wants. She'll probably eat a salad or something like that.
Well, the Bengals are playing, so I won't eat. It'll be like a regular game.
Yeah, I won't eat much either. I'm really, I won't eat much because I'm into the game. I don't want to be.
I can tell you what ours will be this. At about 5:15 exactly, which is an hour and 45 minutes before the game, my wife will fix us steak. We will eat steak, and then we will watch the game. And then every once in a while during the game, especially if it's close, my son will come over with the heart monitor and stick it on my finger just to see how high we are now. Because with 4 minutes left in the Bengals-Chiefs AFC Championship game, he did that, and my heart rate was 204.
Oh, my God.
Well,
That's because I don't yell, I don't cheer. I just sit there and basically wait for something bad or good to happen. It used to be, as a Bengal fan, I just sat and waited for something bad to happen. Now I actually sit and wait for good stuff to happen, and it's really weird. And then I think I get conflicted because I'm not used to being like that, and I get even more confused. But Chris says, "Love you guys. See you tomorrow." And he just met you guys. You're so lovable, Dan and
Love
Steve.
you, Chris. Thanks, buddy.
well,
Hold on. We got to see what they eat in Jamaica at halftime. Sefton, my Super Bowl halftime meal will be rice and red peas with tails, a piece of fish, a whole lot of vegetables, and a lot of carrot juice. Sefton will obviously live longer than any of us.
Sounds
Sefton
about
training
right.
for the Jamaican bobsledding team. Or something? What the hell, Sefton? Live a little. Yeah, no, Brad and George called and wanted to come over and watch the Super Bowl over at their spread. But
Who are Brad and George, by the way?
Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Oh, they're dating now?
No, they're neighbors, and they invited us over to their party.
No, they didn't.
This guy name dropping.
Yeah, I mean, he just
George Clooney.
he just Googled famous people I could say I'm going to their Super Bowl party. And
Randy Gregory and all these other legends.
Well, I do know Randy Gregory.
Yeah, Steve's going to smoke a bowl at halftime with him. That's what the halftime meals.
No, Randy will come and do it with my sons. Trust me. I don't smoke pot. I'm not into drugs.
Oh, also
At all.
Sefton says oxtails, Mike. So I guess Sefton's going to have oxtails too, whatever the hell that is.
This is all great to know now because my son dates a Jamaican girl, and this is what I got to look forward to.
Yeah, now you need to tell your wife.
Dinner. At the wedding dinner, I'm going to have rice and red peas and tails of piece of fish. Great.
And oxtails.
And oxtails. That's my Jamaican
Don't knock it
wedding
until
dinner.
you've tried it. It might be good.
It might be. Sure.
You're such a candy ass. You need to try new things more often, Steve.
Hey, if it ain't Chick-fil-A or Sabaru's Pizza, I don't want it. Nobody's got better pizza than that New York style Sabaru's Pizza.
I like Chicago style better.
Huh? Nah, we
like
had Chicago about a week ago. It was no good. But Sabaru's was that Chicago, New York
You
style.
can't have Chicago style pizza in LA. You can only have Chicago style pizza in Chicago.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. But they do a cheaper imitation. But Sbarro is all over the place, mostly at airports.
And
so we were hoping we won't have to go to an airport.
Still.
But it's a nice, big, thin piece of pizza. It's about that big, and you fold it over and you eat it.
Yeah, and the grease pours down your hand. You can see the grease go down
and then you lick
hand.
your hand, and then it's like, this is good.
No, I don't lick my hand. That's disgusting.
You miss it. Right, Dan? You're from out there.
That's terrible. A Sbarro? Are you kidding me? That's
Sbarro? Well, no, but we don't have New York pizzerias like New York has pizzerias. On every corner, every block in Manhattan, there's 3 of them on every block.
That's like saying I like Mexican food, so I'm going to go to Taco Bell.
No, we went to Chipotle. We got Chipotle last night. We felt like we.
No, he went to Chipotle. See, it's all right. That's real Mexican food.
Terrible.
All right. Terrible. So let's go back to the running game, Steve.
Yes.
You were talking about establishing a running game.
Is it important to establish a running game, or are we just going to go all air ball?
I mean, I think this. I mean, a lot of times, and what the Bengals did against the Chiefs was they established a pass to be able to set up the run. Because Joe Mixon at the end of that game was, very good. Hold on, Joe has a comment. If Dan has that beard next week, I'm sending someone a strongly worded email.
Oh no.
Sefton says, "We don't eat pizzas as a meal, Steve. That's just to grab a bite on the go. Home cooking is the norm here. And it should be everywhere, Sefton. But Steve doesn't." Hey, and real quick, I wanted to bring up also that, you can find the best place to bet on this Super Bowl by going to betting.net, which offers expert and user reviews for every online sportsbook and casino in your state. Check out betting.net. All right, let's get back to Steve's question about the running games. And really, Dan, to me, you could set the run up by throwing the ball. I think that's what the Bengals will do. I do think the Rams are going to try to establish the run. We saw Matthew Stafford only throw the ball like 17 or 18 times against the Cardinals because they did establish the run. And they've got a guy, Cam Akers, that I think can give the Bengals problems because he's the kind of running back they have had issues with. Foreman from Tennessee gave them problems. Similar style, really quick, slashing runner. Where Derrick Henry, they shut him down. He wasn't an issue. What's your opinion on what Steve asked about the running game?
I mean, it's one of the oldest sayings in the book when it comes to football. What wins championship? Defense and running the ball. That's what it's always been. The better defense wins. You want to control the clock.
Nah, see, I'm not buying that either.
I don't either anymore.
Not anymore. That was Lombardi and 3 yards in a cloud of dust with Taylor and who were the other? Taylor and who was the other? 44. Donnie Anderson.
Yeah, you had Paul Hornung,
Jim Taylor, Donnie Anderson. I mean, that was that backfield that was unbelievable. You had Fuzzy Thurston, all those guys out there leading the pack, pulled the sweep left, sweep right. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop it.
No, right. It's definitely
those days are gone. Those days are gone.
It's definitely important, of course, because especially for the Bengals, you don't want Von Miller and Aaron Donald to pin their ears back, knowing that you can't run the ball and it's open season on Joe.
Well, the way they
as great as he is, you can't afford that.
The other thing is this: so you can also deal with that just by throwing a screen pass. And I don't think that they're going to be able to pin their ears because they've seen what's happened with Mixon and Perrine out of the backfield with that. We have a question from Chris Henson. Mike, what do you think the Bengals will look to address in the draft? I would look to add help on the offensive line through agency and maybe look at the secondary in the draft. I think I would look for help. It's according to what you do in free agency. I mean, I would like to see them sign two guys that can come in and be
running game to
starters.
Draft?
Because everybody loves to draft, Steve.
Stay on plane.
You'll see when this show becomes
We'll get Sam Teets on and dump Dan when we start talking draft.
But when we have a question from somebody that was nice enough to watch,
then get Sam on here and put Dan on hold and let's talk draft.
Well, neither one of them know any damn thing.
I'll listen to their damn draft show.
But I think the Bengals secondary, as long as Jesse Bates is re-signed, I mean, and you've got, if you get a Woozy back, what's wrong with the secondary they've got right now? I would worry about the offensive line, and I would really like to find, a little linebacker depth.
I agree, Mike. I think if the Bengals don't spend whatever cash they've got in cap space building an offensive line for Burrow, they're idiots. You want to protect that young man. You want to keep him healthy, and you want to give that man as much time as you can back there because he will pick you apart. You give that man that much time, and he's going to eat you alive.
Sefton wants to know what's Dan's pick for the Super Bowl. You'll have to wait till the end of the show, which is coming up shortly, Sefton. And then Sefton asks...
Not the way we go.
If the offensive line can give Joe some time, it's over. You could probably say
that's
that
not
for
right
both
either.
sides. What's not
this
right?
This game's not over.
Well, it's over if Joe Burrow has time because he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, you don't know how much, the same goes the other way. Stafford is not a slouch quarterback.
Nah, dude, definitely not.
I know. I mean, it's been.
Not.
I mean, hell,
he's more than capable to hold his own.
He's
more than capable to hold his own with Burrow. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not that good, but he can hold his own, especially with the receiving core he has.
Okay.
And the protection he's going to get if he can get it. But
He's played, 13 years, and he's made the Super Bowl. So we've got that. Sefton said, and I'm sorry, but the Detroit Lions in 2014 were loaded. They were capable of winning something.
And the Bengals have played since 1968, and they've made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, twice. Going on 3 times now. And your Colts have been there twice, too. So,
the Indianapolis Colts.
I know, which is the only team that Indianapolis fans have ever cheered for. So don't be a dumbass, Steve. All right, Sefton. You did
I
not
love
cheer
Burt
for the
Jones.
Baltimore Colts.
I love Joe Washington.
All right, if you did,
Mike Curtis. You're going to keep going on. Raymond Berry.
Go on. Give me the quarterback in Super Bowl V.
Earl Morrall.
What was the score of the game?
Super Bowl V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe it was it 16-13?
Who kicked the game-winning field goal?
Jim Turner.
No, Jim O'Brien. Jim Turner was the field goal kicker
close.
for the Jets in Super Bowl III and in Super Bowl
And look at Dan's going like, good God, I'm glad he didn't ask me any of those questions.
Yeah. Dan wouldn't know.
16-13. I got the score right. You got to be impressed with that, Mike.
Steve Rizzer. Yeah, you were right there. If Burrow has time, the Bengals will put up 30. I would say this. My question here is this, though, Steve. Since you say that, do you trust Matthew Stafford, a 13-year veteran, more, or do you trust the guy in his second year more?
Well, the only tool I can use as a measuring stick is recent performance, because you can't look at the history really of either one of these two quarterbacks. And right now, I'd have to favor Joe Burrow, just simply because he's played the playoffs virtually flawless, and I don't see any reason for him to fail. He does not seem like a kid who's going to crumple under pressure. He's not built that way. He's having fun. He's in his hometown. He's in L.A., but he's in his hometown, playing for his home state team. It's where he wanted to be, and he's hiring a kite, and he's got the skills. So I would give the quarterback edge to the Bengals right now.
All right,
I think it's close, but I think I'd go Burrow.
Joseph Michael says, that was impressive, Steve. You knew the score. Now, see, this is what I don't like. Burrow is the better quarterback. The Rams have the better roster and coach. I don't know where you get the better coach at. Roster-wise, just because of the line, the roster's probably better. But coach-wise, Zac Taylor, the last 2 weeks, made adjustments to win games. Those are the same adjustments that, McVay 3 years ago in the Super Bowl refused to make. He made no adjustments when they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and he thought his system would prevail, and it didn't. And really, that is kind of the same thing Andy Reid does. Adjustments have never been Andy Reid's forte, which is why he's lost so many championship games. So I don't think we can make a judgment on which coach is better right now, because I'm not convinced that McKay is definitely better than Taylor from what I've seen here. We have to realize that last year the Bengals won 4 games. The year before they won 2. So I think that we're jumping the gun there. When you talk about the better roster, why does that matter? I mean, the Tennessee Titans had a better roster than the Bengals. The Kansas City Chiefs had a better roster than the Bengals. Everybody would have said that beforehand. Football is not won just because you have the better roster. Football is won by coaching and also championship teams. And Steve played on one in 1981 at Indiana, and he'll tell you championship teams have one thing in common. All those guys love each other, they care for each other, and they'll fight for each other. And I think today we see less and less teams like that. But Indiana in 1981 had gotten beat by North Carolina by 9 points in the regular season. They come into the NCAA tournament, they beat them by 13 in a championship game. And I think that was coaching, and that was also how close your team was, Steve.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's a few players that have scars above their foreheads trying to punk Isaiah. And then Isaiah just running by me. Oops. Sorry about that elbow. Don't know where that came from.
All right. Chris Henson says, I think the Bengals do as good a job as anyone making in-game adjustments. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
From after the San Francisco 49er game, because I do think that's where the change happened. That's where you get the ball in overtime, you settle for the field goal instead of putting the game in Joe Burrow's hands. I think ever since that game, is what got Zac Taylor's attention, Dan,
All right,
because we've
so
seen
Dan,
it
I
in
ask
Burrow's
you this playing off a mic, Dan. Just trying to get Dan to engage here a little bit. Is that because
I just asked Dan a question and you interrupted it to ask him a question so we could get him
Okay, I'll
engaged.
shut
But
up.
go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, to tie that in, it's the same question, basically. Is that because Taylor's young enough that he's not so overcocked with his own ego to think that, hey, don't tell me what to do. I'm Sean McVay. He's a young coach, second year into this, or third or fourth year, into it with a young quarterback. He's like, hey, somebody help me here. Like, come on, guys. This is my committee right now. I mean, I'm the head coach. I'll make the final call. But let's get input from everybody before we, shoot ourselves in the foot here.
There's a lot to unpack there. There was a few different things chatted about. So I'm going to go down in that order. So I know earlier, Steve, you asked, which quarterback do you trust? Or Mike, one of you guys asked, which quarterback do you trust more? I'm going to go with Stafford. I know Burrow's better, and that's not a question. And Burrow had a great year, but Stafford is top 5 in both fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. So that's not to be slept on. Yeah, a lot of that was with a bum-ass Detroit Lions team that had no business being in those games, and he kept them
He's top
close.
5 because he has to be.
But he's
at the end of the third quarter, they're always behind.
Hey, he was also, Dan, 11-71 against teams with winning records.
That is also true.
And also, when you look at those fourth quarter comebacks, 85% of them in Detroit were against teams with losing records. 65% were teams that were less than 5 wins on the season. But go ahead.
But yeah, I got to show my boy some love. So I'll go with Stafford very slightly because I think if they're down by a field goal, that moment isn't bigger than he is. For him, been there, done that.
So you think it's too big for Burrow?
No. I think either way, he's Joe Cool, baby. They talked about it. They talk about it for a reason.
Yeah, but you said you trust you trust Stafford more, is what you just said.
I do, and it's literally splitting hairs. And I only say it because I like Stafford.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: do you think Matthew Stafford, even playing with the Rams, could get sacked 9 times and win the game?
Honestly, possibly, because he dealt with that in Detroit.
But wait, I got something for you.
Every week.
I got
something
just like Burrow.
You. Just like Burrow.
I got something for you, though. Yeah, and he lost. Okay? But the Rams lost to the Titans 32-13 because he got his ass whooped. And the Titans overran him in L.A., in early November?
Yeah.
So
that'll happen.
I can tell you this. I love Matt Stafford. And if the Rams were playing anybody but the Bengals, I would cheer for him. Just a story of him and his wife who had cancer a couple of years ago. But, I mean, he is a hell of a quarterback. But he's still, even 13 years into his career, makes a couple throws a game where you think, what the hell was that? And the problem with that is that a game like this, those mistakes are kind of blown even out of proportion for the player. Because if you screw up in a game where there is no tomorrow, there's no way to save it, that pressure becomes tenfold, I would think. Especially because right now, I think it's safe to say, Joe Burrow's playing with house money. All right? This was supposed to happen 2 years from now, not right here. Matthew Stafford, if they fail here, we've already talked about the players they're going to lose. This may be their only chance. And the thing is, with the Bengals, this may be their only chance. Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl his second year, never got back. So I think the pressure on Matthew Stafford is even bigger. I mean, if he wins this game, hell, he might all of a sudden be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But if he loses this game, he's always going to be that guy that couldn't win the big game.
Yeah. And then Mike, you brought up the question of when we talk about who's better head-to-head, positionally, whatever. You brought up the coach. You said the Rams have the better coach, but...
No, I didn't. No, I never said that. I don't like Sean McVay. I never have. I never backed off of that.
I'm the one who said that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Sorry. But yeah, so
That's
you said, okay, you questioned it. You questioned it, and it's an interesting question to have, but you can't argue with McVay's results. Whether or not you like him as a coach, he came in 2017, he won 11 games, went to the Super Bowl in his second year, lost to the GOAT, but he went 13
with the better team.
Lost to the GOAT. It'll happen.
With the better team. He had the better team. When you lose and you have the better
happens.
team, no, it doesn't happen unless you're
A better team doesn't always win the chip. It happens.
Okay.
They don't even win in the playoffs.
If you look at the history of the Super Bowl, usually the better team does win.
Mike, I'm sorry here. I got to go with Dan on this one because the GOAT makes your team the better team.
That's what I'm saying.
Really
Only Eli
in
Manning
his prime. Now this year, I think we saw, somewhat of a fall off, but not much. Still led statistically everything in the NFL.
All right, we're talking about the wrong GOAT when we talk about that Super Bowl because Tom Brady didn't do a whole hell of a lot. The real GOAT that we're talking about,
he won in the game. What the hell is the quarterback supposed to do?
He did not. Bill Belichick and Rob Gronkowski won that game, and they won it because they were one of the only teams that year to go 2 and 3 times.
Oh yeah, was that the one Earl Morrall was throwing touchdown passes to Rob Gronkowski?
No, it would be the one where basically Gronk makes a huge catch at the end of the game. But even Bill Belichick said after the game, the most valuable player was Rob Gronkowski.
Well, I'm totally convinced that it wasn't Joe Montana. It was Dwight Clark that won all the Super Bowls for the 49ers.
Dwight Clark
he made the catch. He made that big catch.
Yeah, and that was him.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess any quarterback could. I mean, Stafford, hell, Wentz might have even been able to. No, never mind that. Wentz couldn't have done that.
All right, real quick. Seth and the Bengals core are young, playing on a cheaper side of their careers. It would be impossible for this team. Don't return to the Super Bowl to come up for the real. Nothing's ever impossible. So it's just not. I mean, we've seen all kind of teams that were young. Who thought? How many people didn't think in 1985, Steve, that the Chicago Bears, after they won that Super Bowl, would never go back again? Everybody thought that was a dynasty in the making.
Until 2005.
Okay.
So actually, you know what, Mike? I have a quick
question.
question.
Lost to the Colts in 2005.
Go ahead, Dan.
Mike, I got a quick question for you because we're talking about McVay and whatever, and I know you don't like him, but
Hey, I want to thank Amos for listening too. Go ahead. It's not that I don't like him. I think he's a good coach, but I think that
you don't like Amos.
No, I don't like Sean McVay.
Amos is a good guy.
I will say this.
His family
until I
owns
see adjustments.
Stuckey's food stops along the interstate.
Okay.
nice.
You know where you get
Go
the
ahead,
pecan
Dan.
rolls?
Steve, shut up. Dan, go ahead.
So no, I was gonna say, McVay, you're not the biggest fan for whatever reason. Andy Reid. I know you've gone over Andy Reid in detail, but
It's a lack of making adjustments. When I see McVay start to
Not
make
a
these
fan.
adjustments, you know what? With Taylor, when I saw the adjustments start to go, that's when I'll buy it. But a lot of these coaches, and see the thing that drives me nuts.
Hold on.
What-
Time out.
Go ahead.
Wait,
Go
I
ahead.
didn't even ask the question. So
Because
what
I was
is
going to
it-
make up my own. Go ahead. It
what
would have been
does
easier to
it
answer.
take? Those are two of the winningest coaches in the NFL today, and you're not that much of a fan. What does it take in your eyes for a coach to be great, considering that this one guy made 4 straight AFC championships, won a Super Bowl, and you're like, eh. And then this
Because
guy
I
has 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, you're like, eh.
I believe this. I believe when you have the best talent, you need to win. I mean, to be an all-time great coach, you can't lose playoff games. You can't lose Super Bowls where you get out-coached. I think this. The Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants beat Belichick because they had matchup issues. But the problem is this. He lost 3 Super Bowls, but he won 7.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get mad at him, when he's 7-3 in Super Bowls. He's went to 10. Most teams, has any team ever gotten to 10 Super Bowls outside of the Patriots?
No.
It's just like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Joe Burrow is the greatest quarterback of all time. He is the best quarterback mechanically that I've ever seen. But I'm never going to say he's the greatest quarterback of all time because there's a man named Tom Brady that made it to 14 conference championship games and won 10 of them. 14. No team sniffed going to 14 championship games. He did it on his own. So I just think what everybody's talking about, well, this guy's going to outcoach this guy. Most of these guys are good football coaches, and that's it. We see guys all the time get outcoached that we think are good coaches, and then the next week they outcoach somebody else that we thought was a good coach. I think a lot of times, people are always really quick to say that everything is the greatest they've ever seen. We see it. If this Super Bowl ends up 38-35 and a team wins it on a final field goal, everybody the next day, that was the greatest Super Bowl that was ever played. Because that's what they
You're
do.
not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. We're all about the
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, Steve?
Which goes right back to what I said on the opening question you asked me. What do I see as the important thing in this game? And it goes right back to, in a roundabout way, what I said was all the things you said about coaching, about quarterbacking. It boils down to execution, really. It's the team that's going to execute for the 60 minutes the best on Sunday. Is a team that's going to win this because it's an even matchup. I mean, both teams have strength and talent. Both teams are well coached. They've got a good spread of talent offensively and defensively. They have strengths, they have weaknesses, but whoever executes better in this game is going to do it.
Well, how about
believe
this? I think this. The
And
execution,
that's not always the case. There's
the
sometimes teams that,
execution comes back to the coaching. And what I mean by that is
Sure.
this. To me, a great coach, Dan, is a guy that can put in a game plan and adjust as the game goes. It drives me nuts because you'll see all these fans, well, hopefully he makes some great halftime adjustments. You're adjusting during the game if you're a good coach. You're not just making a halftime adjustment. And to me, I mean, I don't see every Rams game, so it's unfair. And I don't say that McVay sucks. I think McVay's a good football coach. That's obvious. It's the second Super Bowl he's been to. But, Andy Reid, on the other hand, has lost a lot more big games than he's won. In a lot of those cases, he had the better team. It's like Marty Schottenheimer. I always, kind of back off because people always say he sucked. He couldn't win the big game. But when did he have the best team?
Yep.
I don't remember when he had the best team. John Elway, everybody said was a big game choker, if you remember back in the 80s, Steve, because he lost to an all-time great Giants team, an all-time great 49ers team, an all-time great Redskins team, and they got blown out. And, everybody's like, well, he's a choker. And then, 10 years later, he wins 2 Super Bowls. He's the MVP of one of the 2 he wins. And in the other one, he makes a play to get a first down where he throws his old ass up in the air and lets them helicopter him around. He lands on the ground. So, I mean, when I look at it, I think a lot of times you got to look at what's the competition. Basketball-wise, I think Larry Brown's as good a coach as I've ever seen. The dude never stayed anywhere long enough to really build anything, but everywhere he went, he won. He won an NBA championship. He won an NCAA championship, and then he leaves those places almost immediately afterwards. So I think a lot of times when we talk about the greatest coaches, I think it kind of gets lost because everybody is so hooked up with the wins and the losses. I mean, Jim Caldwell, I think, was a hell of a football coach. He never was better than 10-6 or 11-5, except for that one year with the Colts when they went 14-2 with Dungy's team. But I mean, the guy was a good coach. Hey, here we go. We got a former Cincinnati Bengal played in the 1988 Super Bowl, Bruce Reimers. Who knows about playing in Super Bowl? Bengals O-line must control and protect Joe. We talked about that. So hopefully they do what they did against Kansas City, and they do a little bit more max protect with, Joe Mixon or Samaje Perine, and keep a C.J. Uzomah if he plays, which it looks like he will, in the protect, get a little max protect there. I think it would help. And Bruce was one of my favorite Bengals of all time.
Why isn't Bruce on this show right now? Hell, I'll drop off and get Bruce on.
Yeah, Bruce, if you want to come on, I can send you a link.
Bruce.
Send you the email
I'll drop off. To have somebody of that caliber talk instead of my stupid mouth.
Or
Jeez,
better yet, if Bruce wants, I've got an opening for the Bengals Weekly Show on Friday night at 8:00. We can have him on there. And we've got, so everybody knows, we've got Reggie Williams tomorrow night on the Bengals Show at 8:00. So Bruce, we would love to have you at 8:00 tomorrow night. So hit me up if you're interested.
And I will tell everybody, I just realized, as I told Mike this on another show we were doing on IU basketball, I found out this weekend that my dogs did their business on hallowed ground last Sunday when they were out.
They pooped on the high school field John Elway used to play on.
John Elway went to Granada Hills High School, and I live in Granada Hills. We were on the high school football field. Not supposed to be there, but somebody left the gate unlocked. So we were out there, and they did their business right on the place where John Elway probably stunk it up a few times. There you go.
Nice. That's
I'm
awesome.
betting John Elway didn't stake it up too many times during high
Not
school.
too many times, I'm sure, but it's got to happen to everybody once.
So-
Hell, I even had a bad game at Lawrence Central as 3 years as a starting varsity quarterback.
Steve played at a school that had like 48,000 students in it, and they constantly played little bitty schools, and Steve would beat up on them.
Oh, no.
And then we had 48,000, and guess who was the starting quarterback?
The tallest kid.
And guess who got all the honey bears he wanted?
What's a honey bear?
Is that a candy from the 60s?
Honey bear was our drill squad, our drill squad.
Your drill
Sure, why
squad
not?
got drilled squad.
Gross.
They
All
were all
right.
pom-pom
Tia's
drills.
obviously not at home with Steve right now, so Steve's going
No,
off the
Tia
rails.
is not here. Thank God she didn't hear that faux pas.
I'll play it for her later.
But Gabe Bruce, come on the show, man. I'll get off, and you won't have to deal with my sorry ass. That's for sure.
Phrasing.
All right, guys.
Hey, and anyway, one thing back to Sefton. Sefton, just so your ass knows, I only eat one meal a day. I have had no food yet today whatsoever.
Yeah, but that meal lasts for like 4 hours.
No, it doesn't. I will have probably a Chick-fil-A sandwich tonight, a bowl
You do
of
talk
tortilla
about food
soup.
a whole lot, though, so I can understand why.
Well, yeah, because it's just common conversation. But I eat one. I've not had a bite of food today yet.
All right, Joe
Also, hold
says,
on,
did
Mike.
Steve go to Lawrence Central? Yes, he did, Joe.
Yes, I did. Home of the Bears.
Now he's going to say, is he the guy that was 6'8" and got beat by that bunch of scrawny Aurora kids in 1977?
Yes, I
All
am.
right, guys, head over now and see for yourself. Betting.net makes it easy to find all the illegal online casinos or sports books in your state. What do you got, Dan?
I was going to say you mentioned who else has however many Super Bowls as a team. Patriots got 11, Broncos, Steelers, Cowboys all got 8, 49ers got 7. Appearances, Super Bowl appearances.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, when the hell
Super
did
Bowl
the Steelers
appearances.
win more Super Bowls?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not bad. All right, guys, I guess it comes time where we got to pick the game. I will go first, just so Risley doesn't cry like a little girl again, like he did last week.
Do you want
No, it
any?
doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now. I'll go first. I'm taking the
Y'all
Rams.
want-
I'm taking the Rams and giving up the 4.5.
Taking Rams. All right.
And giving up the 4.5.
And me and
Not
Steve
that
are
I don't-
tied.
And I will be thrilled to death if the Bengals win, but I think the Rams are going to pull this off.
All right, I believe this. Joe Burrow is better than Matthew Stafford.
I got to agree.
And I just think this. And this could be screwing me up just because I live in this area and this place is going crazy. And, I mean, hell, they sell out a pep rally in 10 minutes. And I just think this. That pep rally, the thing that stood out to me is when you watch the players walk out, the look of amazement on their faces and the way they interacted with the fans. And I mean, every Bengal player had their camera out taking pictures of the crowd while the crowd's taking pictures of them. I think this is a young team that don't know what they don't know. I think the Bengals win this game. I'm going to take the 4.5 points so just to be safe. But I think the Bengals win this game 24-23. Dan?
24. I'm going to jot that down. 24-23. All right. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I think the Rams win by a field goal. I'm taking the easy way out, but I think 4.5 is a little disrespectful. Just as the Kansas City line of -7 was disrespectful.
That was 7.5 by the time they kicked
7.5. So disrespectful. I don't think this is that egregious, but it's not going to be 4.5 plus. I don't think. But
Steve,
some good
didn't it
news.
look like Dan had to poop when he said egregious because he went egregious? Yeah, it was like he was dropping a load there.
Angry. But now, is CJ Uzoma going to play? Uzoma? Is he playing? He
Game
didn't.
time
He hasn't
decision.
practiced. Zac Taylor said maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a game time decision, so we don't.
You know what he
yet.
looked like, Mike? He looked like what I anticipate would be the last look on Elvis Presley's face before he died.
Yeah, because he was pooping, Steve. That's what
He was
happened.
trying
Right on
to.
the damn John.
Unfortunately, all the damn drugs he'd taken had pretty well constipated his ass. Until next-
Sefton picks the Bengals 30-21. Dan picks the Rams, but he's taking the points. I'll take the Bengals, and I'm taking the points. Steve will take the Rams. So the show's been done for 7 years, Steve. You're just a Rams win away from being the first person to win. Just not me.
And I
There
hope
was a
that
tie 1 year, though, for first.
I hope you get it because I would rather see the Bengals win. I just think the Rams we'll pull it out.
Now I want to see my boy Stafford get the respect he deserves.
Yeah, he already gets it.
I do live in L.A., so I kind of gotta
Nobody in LA cares, Steve.
I know, you're right. So that's why I gotta care, because nobody else does.
Joseph Michael says, leave Dan alone. He has slammed his 12-pack in the last hour.
I wish. Just one tonight, guys. I just had one. That's why I didn't get too rambunctious.
You didn't get too rambunctious?
Yeah.
I like you when you're rambunctious.
Yeah.
All right, guys, remember your top sports bike comparison site. Betting.net offers extensive reviews on the best sports books out there. Remember, we'll continue Super Bowl coverage. Me and Steve will be back Survive in Advance to talk a little Super Bowl or NFL football on Friday.
You can't get with us, Dan?
Dan can't do during the day.
Friday.
He has an actual job.
What do you do for a living?
I run an automotive repair shop. It's great. I've been there for 4 years.
Fucking shyster.
It's so much fun.
No bigger rip-off people in the world than auto repair shop people.
We have nothing but integrity.
Haven't you ever heard of politicians?
I was going to say, yeah.
I think car repair people are worse than politicians.
What about prostitutes?
IOC?
Or strippers, aren't they? Isn't that?
Nothing wrong with prostitutes or strippers.
Thanks.
Automotive repair shop.
Always
remember, Dan doesn't like the ladies.
I love ladies. That's it. Respect.
All right. Amos Stuckey says Bengals by 7 or more.
7.
Look at that. Nobody's taking
Amos is on there, famous Amos. You're on there, boy.
I don't know what "of course you do" means, but because we probably took that out of order.
Nobody's taking the Rams but me.
Actually, Dan picked the Rams to win. He just didn't want to do the points.
I feel like Tom Cruise in Castaway.
Oh no!
Yeah, just sitting by yourself talking to your.
I'm sorry, Wilson. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, there's actually one movie. There's one movie he can quote.
You've never seen Blazing Saddles, though, still, Dan.
Yeah.
It's not online. I don't know what to tell you.
It is online. Go to Netflix.
I'm going to have to watch some bootleg or pay for it.
It's on Netflix.
Go to Netflix.
Yo, it's not on Netflix, dude.
Yes, it is.
I'm gonna go on Netflix right.
It's either that. Wait, no. What was it on? I saw it on HBO Max.
HBO Max may have it too. Yeah.
HBO Max has got it. That's
you guys have got to go to Hulu and watch Pamela Lee and Tommy.
Oh yeah, Joseph's "of course you do" was because he runs an automotive repair shop. So I think Joe's on the same track here with Steve. And why do I want to watch Pamela Lee and Tommy Sue Jones or whatever the hell their name is?
Because it's the closest thing to a porn movie I've ever seen on G-rated TV.
Why do I want to see a porn, Steve?
I don't know.
It's
Never mind.
Naked folks and pictures. I don't.
Never mind, Magic Johnson's son.
I have a wife. I really have no need for that. All right, we have another prediction. Chris Henson, Bengals 26, Rams 23. Money Mac is a 47-yard field goal for the win. Great show, guys. Definitely a breath of fresh air compared to other Mickey Mouse sports shows. Thanks, Chris. Well, the difference is this, Chris. Our money doesn't come directly from the NFL, so we're not really giving you a controlled narrative that they want us to hear. And remember this, Steve. I will guarantee you, out of the 14,352 people that have watched us tonight, probably 90% are Bengal fans, so that's where the Bengal picks are coming from.
Oh, okay.
Hooday. Let's go.
Hooday. There you go.
I don't know. Hey, Dan, where does your money come from? My money doesn't come from anywhere.
It comes from my job.
Yeah, mine comes from my pension.
Actually, Dan will be getting paid, so.
Oh, Dan will now. Jeez. Okay.
And you know what, Steve? Until you write an article, be quiet. I told you, if you write articles, you get paid. Joseph Michael, great show tonight as always. Thank you, Joe. But all right, anything else we want to discuss? We do need to have a show
back next
about
week for post Super Bowl wrap up, won't we?
Yes, we will. I mean, this is the thing. If the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I mean, I may just do the show live from the parade where the Bengals win the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah, do that.
Hell yeah, definitely
That's a great idea.
I'll fly Dan down and let him get drunk and watch the winos roll him and take all his clothes.
There you go.
Party with the winos.
Hey, do we ever give away the damn jersey?
Yeah, that's why we don't do the damn giveaway right now.
Who got the jersey?
I don't know. It wasn't up to me. I just run the site.
Well, we don't
Amos,
announce it on the show.
I think it was announced on the website. All right, here we go. I like this guy. Amos says, I want you all to be the best online sports show ever. Love you all. Thank you, Amos. Make sure you tell
Thanks,
all your
Amos.
friends and neighbors. Remember, tomorrow night, me and Ty Robbins will be back with the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show. Former Bengal Joe Kelly may be with us. He usually is, but he is on his way to L.A. tomorrow for Super Bowl 56. But we will have our special guest, the greatest linebacker in Cincinnati Bengals history. Reggie Williams will be on the show. Make sure you check us out then. Reggie was a Bengal from 1976 to 89, was a captain on 2 Super Bowl teams, was also on city council in Cincinnati while playing in Super Bowl 23. So Reggie's a great story. We're going to talk to him a little bit about Super Bowl 16 and 23, and he lives in Sarasota, Florida now, and I know he posted the other day that it was really nice not to wear Bengals stuff around and have people, make fun of him or feel sorry for him.
Yeah, one thing back to Amos. I want to thank you all for being the best online sports show ever. Wait till Mike and I take charge of the draft show. Then it's going to get really good.
Steve,
we'll probably just do
as soon as we get done with the NFL show, Mike and I will come in and save the draft show.
Yeah, Steve, why don't you focus on the NBA first and leave the draft to the big boys, all right? Why don't you worry about the NBA first?
The big boys on the draft would be me, Dan. We just let you and Sam do a show.
Exactly.
Legends,
right?
Spitting facts out there on Monday nights. Don't miss our mock draft Mondays. People love mock drafts. That's right.
You know what word just flashed through my head, Steve? I was looking at him say that, and it did. No, dipshit. I was thinking, listen to this dipshit.
I was thinking girth, the legend.
Girth.
That go through my head.
Girth, you mean your stomach, obviously, right?
And this is to all the people that are still listening. We do plan on keeping the NFL, this show going until kickoff next year.
Forever. We'll do the NFL draft show. We'll have legends on. We'll interview legends, which Steve will embarrass us because he won't do his homework. But still, I'm just kidding, Steve.
We got OTAs starting right after the draft. We got summer camp starting. We have a whole litany of things.
Woo.
And we'll just keep this parade going because we are having fun with it. And we appreciate all the input from everybody.
Yeah, and we don't want me to become irrelevant if there's no football, Steve.
That's right. I'm already irrelevant, no matter how you slice it.
Oh, hell. We had the Indiana Weekly Basketball Show today, which was interesting. You guys can check out. Hopefully we'll have the Jamaican guys on with us for a little Super Bowl preview on Survive in Advance, 1 o'clock.
No, we got a bobsledding preview there.
And then bobsledding. That's what Dan does.
Nice.
Thank you. That was kind of rude. I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to do that. I know that last week you called me after the show and, you were a little upset and a little tears. And then I let you know that it's just all in good fun.
Yeah, for what? Who was upset?
Dan was. He called me crying. Because he said that we're always picking on him. And I said, don't wear your hat backwards and look like a doofus and we won't.
Bite me, you little New York weasel.
Look at him. He looks like a weasel.
He does look like a weasel.
No. His head is so sexy. Come on, man.
Hey, you know what? Now you two strikes against you. First is you're a car repairman who's the biggest crook in the world, and secondly, you don't honor your commitments.
Well, that kind of goes hand in hand. That's all one thing. That's all one thing, Steve.
Yeah, it does all form one character flaw.
Erroneous on both counts.
No.
Erroneous.
All right. Thanks again for listening in and watching Amos. Make sure you tell all your friends. Everybody share this all over the place.
Like me.
We're going to blow this up. But all right. I'm just mad because 1883 only comes out 1 episode a week.
God, it's painful.
It's a great show, Dan. You should watch it in Yellowstone and Ozarks. Ozarks is the best show.
1883?
Yeah, that's great.
1883. It's kind of, you like Westerns?
No.
This is
of course you don't. You're under 40. Well, if you're under 35 or 40, I think your testosterone levels are lower than normal men used to be.
I've seen these guys.
One thing to say, Mike. One thing to say. Do you have any idea how those people ever survived that and made that journey?
Well, you know what I don't understand? I can understand how they survived the journey, because when like 12 guys surround him and start shooting at him, they all miss for the most
They
part.
can't hit the broadside of a barn.
When they shoot back at him, they hit everybody. Like with each shot. It's just amazing. So yeah, I can understand how they survive, because they're the only people that can shoot. Hey, here we go. Joseph Michaels got this.
He's not wrong.
He can't even find Blazing Saddles. No way he's
dude.
fighting 1883 or his penis anytime soon.
1883 is. It's going to come out. It's going to come out on regular Paramount, regular cable, about October before.
And then Amos says that he will share. We appreciate that, Amos.
Thanks, Amos.
Thanks, Amos.
And remember, tomorrow night, Bengals legend Reggie Williams will be with us. We were going to wrap the show up, but
let's wrap it up.
Is he talking ED?
Erectile dysfunction jokes. Yeah, hey, this is the thing. Steve
Amos,
used to
you know that I stole Viagra from the launch of that drug. I used to have friends stop by my house.
Don't go any farther.
Oh, God.
What?
Don't go any farther. I thought you said that you used to sell the drug. You were the first one that did it, so you had to wait till see if they got hard or not.
No, they would take all the gifts and give them away as birthday presents. We had like pens, notepads, ties, exam paper. You know, they'd wrap all the presents in the exam paper, Viagra stuff.
The Wolf of
I had
Johnson
the Viagra
Street.
race car in my driveway 3 years running.
Yeah, but shouldn't that be a slow car?
No, it was hard. It didn't bend when it hit the wall.
We're done. Check.
Let's get out of here.
You can tell we're over an hour. We're over an hour. All right, tomorrow night, myself, Ty Robbins, Joe Kelly will be here with former Bengal legend Reggie Williams, me, Steve, and the Jamaican guys at 1 o'clock to talk a little NFL football. But yeah, a dictionary salesman, as Amos says. So Steve was a dictionary salesman. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you go to Grilling Truth. Follow us on Facebook. Go over, follow us on Twitter, follow us, subscribe on YouTube, like and subscribe there. We don't get many viewers there because we got demonetized because I thought that it was bad that, men acted like women and became track athletes with women.
Who demonetized this?
That was YouTube a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
So... All right, Amos says, I hope not Webster's. All right, guys, we will wrap it up. So for now, for Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.